In the uncharted sea of life, change emerges as an unknown ocean, bringing chaos into calm waters. It demands we navigate the waves of stress, risk, and face potential failures. And refusing to change condemns us to a stagnant existence. Now, picture yourself thrown into an unfamiliar world, and instead of being swallowed up by the sea, you effortlessly conquer the waves, mastering the arts of adaptation in the face of insurmountable challenges. No other character embodies the essence of conscious evolution like Isagi Yoichi. In the intense world of Blue Lock, the game becomes a canvas for adaptability, a stage where ordinary players evolve into extraordinary contenders. And today, you're not just a spectator, you're a participant. As we unravel the secrets of Isagi's adaptability, we'll embark on a journey to break free from stagnation. Join me in the realm of the mind's thoughts as we decode the process of conscious adaptation. This is How to Adapt like Isagi Yoichi. The most important factor in survival is neither intelligence nor strength, but adaptability. Charles Darwin. So how do we adapt consciously? Is it even possible? In my last video, we broke down what adaptability is and why it's important. If you haven't watched it yet, go check it out, as everything I will talk about will click. We'll be covering the how in this video. And the short answer is yes. We do it all the time, and we even acknowledge it when we're doing it with phrases like, I'm getting better at this, I'm getting used to it, I'm getting the hang of it, it's a work in progress, etc. Whether you realize it or not, you're adapting. It's what people like me and you were designed to do. Usually, this process is subconscious, meaning that we get used to things in the background, usually when we're not paying attention to it, which is a reason as to why sleep is so important, as it's when and where newly learned information gets stored into your long-term memory, strengthening your neural connections. Now imagine this. What if we could adapt consciously? Meaning that we are aware of our progress, our growth in real time, like a video game where you're grinding XP for your character to get stronger. That's what consciously adapting is like. It's a superpower that allows you to work smarter, more efficiently, getting you more results with less effort than your competition, which isn't only your peers, but mainly yourself. So, how do we do this on command? First, we have to acknowledge our position, meaning that we have to be brave and not run away from what stares back at you when you stare at the mirror. This is definitely easier said than done, as there's either a lot we don't want to admit about ourselves, or we don't want to explore because of trauma such as abuse, neglect, poverty, etc. Secondly, we must practice it consciously. To be more adaptable, quick responses are essential. Embrace the unexpected by staying curious. Ask questions and seek knowledge. Think of your mind as a simulation ground, a mental arena where adaptability shines, and unlike traditional tests, the simulation assesses how you maneuver information to achieve your goals. Adaptability is the new measure of success, surpassing IQ and EQ. Boosting self-confidence involves questioning assumptions, embracing different perspectives, and accepting failure as a natural part of life. Since, like change, failure is a lesson, not a setback. As we look at Isagi, the parallels between his football world and the simplicity of adaptability become clear. Isagi's first real test was in his first match against Team X, where he had an opportunity to score a goal, but ended up passing it to Kunigami instead. He failed since he didn't take the shot for himself. But unlike before, in the matchup against Kira, it gave him a hint of what to do next, on where to take the next step. He discovered his smelling the goal ability, which was a way for him to predict the best way to score a goal given the situation at hand. Even though it was difficult and Isagi got roasted by Baru, it gave him information, and with the help of Kunigami, Isagi turned those insults into strength, rather than crying because someone was being mean to him. And that's the thing, Isagi didn't run away. He took on Baru's insults head-on, and of course you'd feel bad about it. It hurts, especially when we know that the person who's insulting us is right. We have to face the ugly truth head-on if we want to progress. Because if we always excuse what we're going through like, oh, it's because of my parents that I was held back, it's because I wasn't taught properly, it's because I had a rough childhood, then you'll never progress. And those things might be true, and if they are, let me ask you this. Are you really going to let that hold you back? Are you so weak that you won't even fight for yourself, at least to try? It's when we try, when we fight ourselves, when we look at ourselves in the mirror and say, no, I won't let myself be controlled by anyone else. that we can then begin to see progress, and then can we consciously adapt by practicing. A perfect example of this is Isagi versus Nico. Isagi and Nico had the same vision, but Nico was less experienced and made the same mistake that Isagi did before. And not only did Isagi acknowledge that Nico was on the same journey as him and just a few steps behind, Isagi acknowledged that he was there before, admitted his mistakes, and actually learned from it. Now let me ask you this. How many of us make the same mistakes over and over without correcting ourselves? Or maybe we were corrected but continue to make the same mistake out of laziness, out of not wanting to put in the efforts. And I don't know what's worse, not knowing you're making the same mistake over and over again, or knowing and understanding that you're doing the wrong thing and continuing to do it anyways. This is when Isagi's growth truly began. It was when he saw a younger version of himself manifested in Nico that he became aware of his growth. And once you get a taste of that, of what it's like on the other side, there's no going back to who you once were. Growth becomes addicting. And it's great since as you level up, everyone around you begins to notice and do so as well. As the African proverb goes, the child who is not embraced by the village will burn it down to feel its warmth. But I think that if the child is embraced, then they will uplift the entire village, bringing it to new heights. And that is your mission. Now, from here on out, Isagi became aware of his adaptability, and this became apparent when he faced off Naruhaya. In his 2v2, Naruhaya crucially missed his opportunity to score because he failed to make Isagi's direct volley shot his own. Whereas Isagi had to admit to himself that he and Naruhaya were both the same, both mediocre, just in different ways, facing the mirror of truth. And by putting into practice Naruhaya's skill, something Isagi lacked, Isagi was able to successfully adapt Naruhaya's up-the-ball movements, being crowned as the genius of adaptability. And Isagi was really put to the test in his 4v4 against Rin. Isagi had to crawl his way up from being almost eliminated to humbling someone who referred to himself as a king unironically, to finally facing the person who outsmarted him and sent him to the loser's brackets. In every sense of the word, Rin is a better version of Isagi, better vision, better skills, and better physical stats. However, Isagi has one thing where he can beat Rin, and that's an adaptability. You see from his lessons that he's learned within the Blue Light Project and the losses he's faced, Isagi was no longer afraid to change to win, doing what's necessary, which sometimes meant being reborn and becoming the person the situation demanded. Compared to the first time Isagi went up against Rin, he could actually understand what was going on and didn't see Rin as an impossible height he couldn't reach, but rather the next mountain to climb that stood in his path. As the match went on, Isagi began catching up to Rin and his vision, and Rin acknowledged this by dialing up his efforts. Rin and Isagi were going at it head-to-head and lighting the air around them in a gulf of an intense desire to win. In the final minutes of the match, Isagi had downloaded every player on the pitch to the points that he could predict what would happen next. His former teammates, now opponents, Bachira, had the ball, breaking through the defense line. And as he shot the ball to secure his team's victory, none other than Isagi was able to read the play, something Rin couldn't even do, and blocked Bachira's shots. At this moment, from the goal he scored on Rin to blocking the shot of a play Rin couldn't read, Isagi had finally beaten Blue Lock's #1 player, having adapted all the way from the bottom to outsmarting the best. However, the deflection of the ball caused it to tragically fall onto the feet of Mr. #1, sealing the fates of Isagi's team when he scored the winning goal. Isagi had done everything and adapted to the best, but failed due to nothing else but luck. To review, adaptability is necessary, and for how we achieve conscious adaptability is by first being aware of our positions in whatever it is we're doing and being honest to admit that we might not be where we want to, and to understand that it's okay. Just because we're not where we want to be doesn't mean we will never get there. It's just your starting point, and you can always move the needle towards the right direction. And once we're headed in the right direction, it's just a matter of putting in the work and practice to develop our adaptability muscle by asking questions, seeking answers, and by visualizing yourself reaching your goals one step at a time. And once you see the results, there's no turning back into who you once were, and you'll outsmart everybody else. And in order to outsmart the competition, reading gives you that competitive edge. And while I love my physical books, I don't want to carry them around everywhere I go, which can be super inconvenient, and I love keeping my books looking as fresh as possible, which is why I'm really happy to have partnered with Audible for this video. Now, Audible is the best place to keep all of your books in one place and in the palm of your hand. And their extensive catalog surely has something for your taste, which includes the books that I read while researching for this video, like Mindset by Dr. Carol S. Dweck, who revolutionized the personal development space by involving science and studies into the mix. And I love their bookmark feature, where I can just pick up exactly where I left off, and their speed up feature, which makes learning just that much quicker. Now, you can listen to Mindset by Carol S. Dweck and thousands of other books by signing up for Audible for 3 free months using my link in the description. In order to change the world, we must change ourselves. And again, that's 3 months for free with my link down below. And with that, I leave you with the words of Dr. Carol S. Dweck, author of Mindsets. Real confidence is not reflected in a title, in expensive suits, a fancy car, or a series of acquisitions. It is reflected in your mindsets, your readiness to grow.